Welcome to Kiwi Bred, our 2014 Road to Karaka special. Over the next hour, we'll be previewing the New Zealand Bloodstock yearling sale and taking a look at some quality yearlings going under the hammer. We begin the show with New Zealand Bloodstock's Managing Director, Sales and Marketing, Petrea Vela. I spoke to Patria about the strength of this year's premier catalogue. Petrea, last year there was a fair bit of uncertainty around the market heading into Karaka, but you were pleasantly surprised with how solid the results were. What are you expecting for 2014?
Well, overall, the lineup of horses that we've got is probably stronger than last year, so that's a great start. We've seen some staggering results in the Northern Hemisphere, in particular, over the last 12 months, which doesn't always necessarily correlate, but it certainly isn't a disadvantage going into our sale. We've had the first round of yearling sales this part of the world on the Gold Coast earlier this month, and it showed some really strong middle market strength, good clearance rates. So if we could replicate that, that would be certainly a great start.
How would you describe, if you had to, the strength of this year's premier catalogue?
Look, it's probably the strongest we've had in some time. I know we can be guilty of saying that a lot, but certainly it started at selections when we got our lineup of horses, and then when the Bloodstock agents went on the road and started inspecting the horses, they were presenting extremely well. We have, as well as good pedigrees, we have a great stallion selection, and some of our largest drafts are underpinning the sale very strongly. We have Waikato Stud, who are pledging their entire yearling crop to Karaka this year. Curraghmore Stud, who were the leading vendors last year for the first time, another very strong lineup. A Windsor Park Stud have an exciting first season sire in Rip Van Winkle. They have Master Craftsman, the young sire, and the last crop of Thorn Parks. Cambridge Stud with their Blueblood pedigrees and the last crop of Zabeels. So those sorts of studs and those sorts of size drafts are underpinning the sale very strongly.
Are you satisfied there's a good representation of quality stallions on offer at Karaka?
Yes, very actually. There's 62 stallions represented in total in the Premier Sale. There are 10 elite stallions that have provided a 7% stakes winners to runners ratio over their lifetime in New Zealand and Australia, and all 10 of those are represented at Karaka by over 200 yearlings, so that adds great strength to the sale. 4 of those stallions are based in New Zealand, including the likes of Savabeel and Zabeel. And they obviously will have their largest representation at Karaka. We have some of the best that Australia has to offer, the likes of Fastnet Rock and High Chaparral and so on. And then we have 11 first season sires and some very exciting prospects in that mix too.
Now, the buying benches for Karaka are always wide and varied. How's it shaping up for this year's sale, both on the domestic front and internationally?
Domestically, it's always a little bit harder for us to judge because we don't take those bookings, and the registrations come in a bit late, to Ross's dismay. But New Zealand Thoroughbred Marketing has done a very good job over the last 12 months in building the news desk, which has helped to raise profile and encourage participation in racing. So hopefully our syndicators and trainers will be out getting those people under their wing and capturing that interest. Internationally, look, New Zealand horses have performed incredibly well around the world, which is always the best advertisement. So we'd like to think that we have a nice, strong international representation as well.
International results from our sales graduates always help to pull our foreign buyers back to Karaka. What have been the standout performances on the track this year?
Well, Karaka delivered the most Group 1 winning graduates last season of any sale company, which, when you consider the size, is an impressive feat from the breeders here. So probably some of the standouts have been the likes of Ocean Park winning the 5th Cox Plate for New Zealand in the last 6 years. Similarly, Sacred Falls winning the 5th Doncaster in 6 years for New Zealand. In Hong Kong, we've got the likes of Ambitious Dragon, who's a superstar there. And in Singapore, we've provided 2 of the star performers in Super Easy and War Affair.
What do you think it is that attracts our buyers to the New Zealand Thoroughbred?
Well, buyers want every chance of success, so they're going to start with the sale that provides the best strike rates. So that's a great endorsement at Karaka. Also, the consistency of results from the sale season after season, particularly in the coveted races, the Cox Plates and Derbies. Still, those horses are great value in New Zealand. When people come to New Zealand and they see where the horses are raised and handled, it's hard for those buyers not to come back. And also, I think in terms of coming to the sales, buying and racing horses is not just business, it should be enjoyable as well. So hopefully the whole Karaka experience for owners and prospective owners is an enjoyable one.
It looks as though everything's on track for a successful sale for New Zealand Bloodstock. One person who'll be looking to repeat his triumph from last year is Gordon Cunningham. Curraghmore took out the honours as leading vendor by aggregate at the 2013 Premier Sale. I recently spent some time with Gordon to check on how he's preparing for this year's sale. Named New Zealand's leading vendor last season, knocking Cambridge stud and Sir Patrick Hogan off his 31-year hold on the title. What did accomplishing that mean to you?
At the time, I suppose it was extremely humbling, really. I didn't really know what to think. We just had a good sale and achieved some great prizes for our owners, which was what the whole objective of the exercise is, or what our whole business evolves around. But you know, over a period of time, with all the focus that was attached to it, etc., I realised how big an achievement it was, and how proud we were at Curraghmore to have achieved it. You know, over the years, I've had some great people who have, made Curraghmore possible to get to the level in the industry that it is, and so. I was just very, very proud to have achieved that, but also became greatly aware and appreciative of all the support that we've had over the years from a lot of people behind the scenes who would never get a mention, but who contributed in a great way.
Now, last year saw Curraghmore walk away with the highest priced yearling sold at Karaka, a Fastnet Rock Celebria colt for over 1.9 million New Zealand dollars. What gives you more satisfaction? Is it presenting the yearlings through the ring or seeing them go on to race?
Going to the sales is just a part of the process, and ultimately you want to see your horses do well. So whether it's a little race that Miss Daisy won down in Taranaki last week over Christmas, or the numerous winners that we had in December time, or watching Fishing win the Melbourne Cup again. So really it's to see the horses go on and perform for their owners, because I almost feel a personal responsibility when you sell a horse. A man comes along and pays you a lot of money for a horse, and you want the horse to fulfill his dreams. We know they can't all be good, but at least if the horse that they could take away from Curraghmore goes into the stable, copes with the demand of the training regime, and eventually gets to the races and copes with race day well, and jumps out and comes home, that's even great, that's even better.
Gordon, an incredible amount goes in behind the scenes, getting the yearlings to sale and preparing them. When does it all start for you and your staff?
Well, look, it might sound like the old cliche as such, but for the foals that are born on the farm, really, the day they're out the back of their mums, that's when they're born, that's really when it begins. So basically, from our perspective, it's to stack all the odds in their favour, not in an endeavour to make money, but actually to produce them as racehorses. So really it's from day one. In terms of the horses that come from other establishments, like some of the farms in Australia, or from our clients in Australia, or one or two farms around here, like say Raffles, for example, when we first go and inspect them, we're endeavouring to, I'm thinking about that horse and how I can achieve the best possible price for them, and how we can further develop them and take them along. So it's really when you first lay eyes on them.
By the time they get to Karaka, they're all looking their absolute best. What's your conditioning process here?
Look, I'd say pretty much our sales preparation as such, you know, this 12-week period or 10-week period is consistent with the majority of the farms. We're all blessed to be raising horses in such a good environment, and really the sale preparation is just finishing them off. I prefer to refer to it more like, as you said, in terms of a conditioning process of that 12 weeks. But from the day the horse is born, our aim is to develop him as a racehorse. And this 12 weeks is just finishing it off, and you want them looking their absolute best.
Let's talk about your 2014 Premier Draft. How would you describe it?
I could say I've got as much confidence in this draft as I've had in any previous draft. I've got no doubt about that. In our Premier Draft we've got 27 horses. They're obviously very well bred, and amongst them are some horses that are equal physically to as many of the good horses that we've sold over the years. So I'd have a great deal of confidence in the group that we have here.
Let's talk specifically about some of your top lots. Lot 127, the Fastnet Rock Memories of You filly.
She's out of a Galileo mare, really good international family, as you can see, full of black type. She's reasonably precocious, she's quite mature in her shoulders, uses herself well, she's powerful, and look, she's just full of quality, really.
Lot 203, the Galileo Queen of Spain filly.
This filly's pedigree, she comes from a terrific family that we're familiar here with now through the deeds of master craftsmen. And physically, I like her. I think she's reasonably precocious looking. You can see her there, she's busy in herself, she walks well, and she's got good balance, she's got a quality head. And this is a filly that, you know, ultimately, regardless of what she does on the racetrack, has terrific residual value. So, you know, I'm just delighted to be offering a filly won by Galileo, but also of her quality.
Lot 207, the Fastnet Rock Randaroo colt.
When you look at the horse physically, he's so mature. I don't think I've ever offered a horse as mature as this lad. He's got everything that you'd want in a Fastnet Rock, who, you know, is the heir apparent to his own sire and Dane Hill. This lad's out of a mare, Randaroo. She was a really high-class mare in America. She won 6 group races. She competed at the highest level up there. She won on Breeders' Cup Day, and so he's the complete package. And you know, he's one of the colts in the sale that you definitely look at as having sire potential.
Lot 351, the High Chaparral Elegant Satin colt.
He's exceptional, really. He's got quality, he's got balance, he's got a terrific stride, which I really love, and you know, there's not really much to say about him other than he's just a very, very good prospect. His mother was a Group 2 winner. She was one of the best of her generation here in New Zealand, trained by Murray Baker. She was tough, and this colt in his attitude has got that charisma about him as well. So I love him, and I'd be happy to put my own money into him.
Lot 429, the High Chaparral Crimson Dawn colt.
Have a look at him. He's got a terrific stride on him. I think the most important thing with High Chaparral is to recognise that you can get these big, magnificent horses by, like So You Think, and on the other hand, on the other end of the scale, you've got a horse with the physique of It's a Done Deal, who's a more medium-sized horse, great athletic horse. So this horse fits a little bit into the more, like, It's a Done Deal type as such. He's got quality, he uses himself terrifically well. His mother has already produced a very good filly in Perth. She's one of the best fillies every year over there as we speak. So this horse has got a lot of potential in my eyes.
Lot 452, the Fastnet Rock Dragon's Tail filly.
This is a filly that I really like. She's obviously a Fastnet Rock to look at, but she's got the scope of some of his very best fillies, including Atlantic Jewel. You can look at her there, you can see the length of her. She's terrifically athletic, she's powerful, and of course she's out of a mare by Galileo from a terrific family. This filly, she's from the pedigree of Flight to the Stars, and also a really good filly who won the Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot last year called Falling For You. So to me, she's got everything.
And finally, lot 459, the High Chaparral Aleisha colt.
This is another high-class colt in my eyes. Again, he's a medium-sized High Chaparral. He's very mature. He looks forward. He's got a great pedigree. His mother's already produced three stakes winners in America, and it's an active family that he comes from. To me, he offers a lot of potential, and in my eyes, he's another one of our horses that I hope we'll be hearing more of and joining our Roll of Honour here at Curraghmore.
Curraghmore returns to Karaka this season with a quality draft of yearlings, and we wish Gordon and his team all the best. Well, the Karaka Million is a New Zealand Bloodstock incentive race for the graduates of its National Yearling Sales Series. This year's race will take place at Aleisha's Twilight Race Meeting this weekend. Throughout the show, we'll be taking a look at some of the New Zealand bred runners vying for their spot in the $1 Million Dash. And the first runner we look at is Perkins. Perkins is a stakes-placed son of Sir Percy out of Desert Sun mare Dazzling Belle. The gelding was bred by Monovale Holdings in partnership with Graham Rogerson and was purchased at the Karaka Select sale by owner Phil Bailey for $40,000. Perkins is trained in Cambridge by Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman.
Well, he looked a good 2-year-old type, nuggety and strong. He was out of a mare that had won 5 2-year-old races. He's a gelding, he became very heavy, but a good temperament, and he's got a bit of speed. We gave him a week off after Waikato out on the Spelling Farm, and he's freshened up. I think he probably needs plenty of speed on. That'll help him if he can get a good posse.